Well, I am very excited to be talking to Adam Harvey, who is a multiple Golden Guitar Award winner, country music fan favorite, soon to be co-host of the Golden Guitar Awards. Hello, Adam. Lovely to see you.
Hey there, Sophie. It's lovely to chat to you. And yeah, my apologies. I was running a little bit late, and I hate running late. But both the kids have got COVID, and it's chaos in the Harvey house.
Oh my word! How are they feeling?
Yeah, they're pretty good. When I say kids, I mean my son's nearly 21, and our daughter is 19. So luckily, they both happened to be away with their partners when they got COVID. So my daughter's, in quarantine at the house that her boyfriend lives in, and my son is with his girlfriend over at her place.
Right.
So my wife and I said to them, "Don't come home.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, don't come home and give it to us." So yeah, but they're going okay. We've been delivering supplies and groceries, and just leaving them at the front door. But it's just a fact of life.
Well, it is, and you certainly don't need to get COVID given everything you have coming up soon. So I'll start by saying, with my first question, congratulations on your 3 Golden Guitar nominations for this year. Of course, the awards have not yet happened because the festival has been delayed. Now, you've already won 8 of these awards, and I'm wondering if there's ever a point where those nominations are announced and you think, another one, or does it never get old?
No, I don't know. I actually asked a couple of my good friends, Troy Cassadaly and Lee Koenig, and I think they're sort of right up there with Slim Dusty as the highest, the most awards that have ever been won at the Country Music Awards. I think they're both up around the 34 or 35 Golden Guitar Awards.
Yeah.
But no, it never ever loses its excitement, and it's really special. And it might sound a bit cheesy, but it's always a great honour. And to be honest, I've never ever been nominated for Song of the Year before.
Okay.
And I wrote a song about my dad called Lindemann Again. My wife got really excited when I said I was writing a song called Lindemann Again, because she's pretty partial to Lindemann's wines. And so she thought it was a song about getting on the drink. But no, it's actually about Lindemann Island in the Whitsundays. And so that song, it's I guess for me, it's a really special song because, my dad's no longer with us, and it's a tribute to my dad and my mum. And so to be nominated for Song of the Year, it's really, really special. And, those Golden Guitar nominations, they're bloody hard to get. So you never, ever take them for granted. And it's always a really great honour.
It's a lovely song. I think it's your current single, if memory serves correctly. And it's so evocative. I love the detail you put in it about your father. And I know it's not about Lindemann's wines, it's about Lindemann Island. And as a listener, you do feel like you're there. You feel like you're kind of within the young Adam Harvey, the young Harveys can't grow up on island time, that sort of detail. Yeah, it's really lovely.
Yeah, I wrote the song. I was lucky enough through a good mate of mine, Graham Connors, who lives in Mackay, and that's where my dad was based, out of Mackay, on this beautiful big charter boat called the Elizabeth E, about 120-foot charter boat, and it's all just been restored. And through Graham Connors, we got to go out on that same boat that Dad loved and worked on, and we went and sailed out around Lindemann Island and wrote the song while we were out there sailing around the Whitsundays on the very same boat that Dad loved and worked on. So that's probably one of the most special things I've ever been able to do.
Yeah, well, and it certainly helps me understand why it almost feels like we are on a boat with you. So we're on a boat. Now, not only are you nominated for the GGs, but you are hosting the awards with Beccy Cole, with whom you have a well-established double act. You've toured together. I saw you on stage together most recently towards the end of 2019 for the Young Stars of Country reunion show with Felicity Urquhart and Darren Coggan, which was a fantastic show. And I know you have a song of the 4 of you on the album. I kept hoping there might be a whole album of the 4 of you because it was so good. But what do you enjoy or not about working with Beccy?
Yeah, well, Beccy and I, we're really close friends. We've toured together. I think we've toured around Australia together about 10 or 12 times on different occasions over the years. And we just clicked right from the get-go. We've got a really a similar sense of humour, and we're both a bit naughty and a bit cheeky. My wife says we're the male and female equivalent of one another, which I'm sure Becky takes that as an insult. But yeah, I just, there's something really special about working with Becky. She's I think she's the best live entertainer that I've ever seen. And when you're on stage with her, you never ever know where she's going to go or where it's going to end up or what's going to happen next. It's really quite mesmerising, and then to be involved in that and a part of that, it's really really good fun. So we are hosting the Golden Guitar Awards together, and I've already warned all of our country music mates in the industry that no one's off limits. Right. So I hope they've got a thick skin and a good sense of humour on the night. So I think it might be the first and last time Becky Cole and I ever host the Golden Guitar Award.
Oh, I doubt it, because I remember seeing your, I don't even think it was the rematch tour. I think it was the original time you two went on tour together, and it is a fantastically entertaining night. Every time I see Becky, my jaw aches because I'm laughing so much. But I also think, look, as the co-host, you probably do have to be a little bit brave, because you don't know what's coming, and that means you've got to be really on your toes the entire time.
Exactly, it's very true. And we've got a lot of great stories together, and over the years when we've been on tour, it's funny because people used to come up to me after the show or up to Becky after the show and say, I don't know how bloody your wife lets you go on the road with Becky Cole all the time. They used to think something was going on,
Yeah.
But, obviously back then I was sworn to secrecy, and I was never allowed to tell anyone that my wife actually had more chance of taking Becky Cole home than I ever did. So it's, we've had some funny times together, that's for sure.
Now, will you also be performing on the night of the awards? Because if so, that's a lot of, you're a nominee, you're hosting, you got to perform. It's quite a few duties to have.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm also singing on the awards as well. And I did say to the bloke that runs the Golden Guitar Awards, I said, "Oh, look, mate, I'll get an extra seat for myself and for my wife." And he said, "Mate, you won't be sitting out in the crowd." He said, "You're not going to have time to sit down anywhere." He said, "I've got you that busy, you won't know what's hit you. So forget about sitting out in the crowd." So it's going to be a busy night. And obviously it was really disappointing when they had to postpone the festival, which would have been in January, but at least they're still going to have it. I think that's really important, because even though it's held back a few months, it's obviously going to happen in April. I think it's the 50th year, and it's really special, and it's really important that it goes ahead rather than just can the whole thing and say, "Oh, we'll just do it next year." It's a real milestone for Tamworth and the awards. So it's good news that it's going ahead, and hopefully in April. Normally when you go to Tamworth in January, it's hotter than a stolen Commodore. So now at least it's going to be a little bit cooler, hopefully in April.
You might even be able to put on a jacket. You won't have to go in a singlet. That'll be so cool at night. Now, before we get to those awards, though, you are going on a tour. And I would imagine that you haven't been able to do a lot of touring in the past couple of years. So it must be really exciting to look ahead and think, I've booked some dates. This looks like it's happening.
Yeah, it is. It's also, you get very nervous too, because we've had so many stop start. We're going into, no, we're not yet. We're getting it. So I'll believe it when I'm actually doing it. But yeah, we start in Goulburn and then Albion Park, and then we tour around New South Wales and Queensland and Victoria, and it'll be really nice actually to get back on the road. And one of the great things that we've been able to do in the last sort of couple of years is my wife's she comes away with me, and years ago she was at home raising our babies, and now that our kids are grown up and they're teenagers and they don't like us anymore anyway, so my wife gets to come away and see all these great places that I used to come home and tell her about. Right. And now she actually comes with me and gets to see them for herself, and it's been really nice actually. It's like we're sort of reliving our honeymoon or something, just the two of us off driving around the country and seeing all these great places, and it's really good. I've really enjoyed it.
And I suppose part of the message for fans at this point in time, because a lot of people might feel nervous about buying a ticket, is the show going ahead? Well, if the show's cancelled, you'll get your money back. And if the show's not cancelled, then you're going to have a guaranteed good time. I can say this as someone who's seen you perform live many times. It's like, that's a guaranteed good time every time. So I suppose I'm trying to emphasize to people, there is no risk here. Like, you can buy that ticket. The show has to be postponed or whatever, arrangements will be made.
Exactly, yeah. And I think I'm really positive about this year. I think you know, the music industry, I think hospitality and Australian tourism are going to see a real boom. And I think that now that we're sort of, I hate to say, we're sort of over the hump. I feel like we're over the hump of, you know, the last couple of years, and I think that, you know, the shows will go ahead. I'm really confident of that. I think festivals will start and pop up and happen again. And yeah, I think we're in for a really good time with live music. And so I'm locked in. I'm ready to go. And as you say, you know, people can either get their money back or, I mean, fingers crossed. I'm 99.9% sure that all the shows will happen.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned that you're doing an Eastern Seaboard run. I would think you've played so many different places over the years, and you would have fans in those places. You know the audiences that are going to turn up for you. When you're planning a tour, it must be quite hard to actually pick just a handful of locations each time, because you can't go everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. You know, and a lot of people say, "I wish, you know, why can't you come here or why can't you come there?" But there's only so much you can sort of do in 12 months. And these days, touring's changed a lot from what it used to be. We used to go away on tour and play 6 nights a week, and you'd have Monday nights off, and then you'd start again, and we'd go for 3 or 4 weeks at a time. Whereas nowadays, because the world's changed and people are busy and that, so nowadays we just sort of play Friday and Saturday or maybe Sunday. So we're 2 and 3 nights a week now. We just pick the best nights, and so that means you can get to less places, and so it does become harder to pick the best places to go to. But you know, I've got plenty of favourite spots that I go, and nowadays I can sort of pick and choose a little bit. And you know, if there's somewhere I really love and want to go back to, well, then I'll make sure we put that in the diary.
Yeah, right. Now you have Rachel Whitchurch joining you. The wonderful Rachel Whitchurch is joining you as your support act on this tour. But I would think that's actually quite a competitive slot, the Adam Harvey support slot. So I'm wondering how you chose Rachel.
Yeah, well, it's a funny thing. I do get approached a lot about people that want to come on tour with me, and it's tough, you know, because I mean that's how I started. You know, it was Tanya Kernaghan took me on tour with her, and then straight off the back of that, I started touring with Gina Jeffries, and one led to another and another and another. But I mean, nowadays, I guess there aren't as many acts that are out touring all the time as what there were, you know, 25 odd years ago. And so it is hard for a lot of the young acts that want to get on the road and try and get that experience. And the only way you get better at your craft is to get out in front of the crowd every night and practice, you know, and pay your dues or whatever you call it, do your apprenticeship. But yeah, Rachel also happens to be my booking agent. So that works out really well. So she books all the gigs, and she's done that for a little while now. And I mean, she's a really talented young lady and really does well. It's been great to watch her. I'm like a proud dad. I stand at the side of the stage and watch her every night and watch her get better, and the way she talks to the crowd and engages them. And it's really exciting to watch that. But on the other hand, it's also great for Rachel to meet the venue owners or the promoters or the people involved face to face rather than just on the phone. And I think that gives her a whole other sort of side of, okay, this is what touring's like, this is what, you know, and that connection and knowing the venue and seeing it for yourself and meeting the manager of the club or the theatre or whatever, it really helps her, I think, you know, sort of once again learn her craft even better.
Yeah, I've seen her play live and she's terrific, and her album is terrific too. So I think anyone who comes to this show, he's got both acts are going to be magnificent. Again, back to the guaranteed good time. So every time I've seen you perform live, Adam, whether it's on your own with Troy, with Becky, you look like you're having the time of your life. And I'm wondering what it is you enjoy about live performance.
It's a drug, you know. There's an old saying, it's a drug, and it's amazing the rush of adrenaline that you get when you walk out on stage and perform. There's nothing else like it in the world, and it is addictive. You know, that feeling is really addictive. and I just love it. And I love to be out there. And I've been to shows before, you know, and you're sitting in the crowd and you're watching the artists, and you think they really don't want to be here. You know, they're standing there miserable, you know, or don't even talk to the crowd, or stand there with their eyes closed the whole time. And it just sucks, you know. So I got to make sure that you know, I can convey how appreciative and how excited I am about being there. And I think, you know, there's so much doom and gloom out there in the world that people want to escape all of that stuff, and they want to go to a show and forget about everything that's going on out in the world, and just have a bit of fun and laugh and sing along, and forget about all their cares and their dramas. And if I can do that, I figure I'm doing my job, you know. And so that's, I look at that as, it's very, very important.
Yeah, I think it's a hugely important function socially, culturally, and it's part of what Australian country music artists do so well, is get out and connect with audiences in all sorts of places. Obviously, for this tour, it'll be the Eastern Seaboard run, but I'm sure once you're allowed into Western Australia, you'll go back there and go to the Territory. In fact, you have a song, Darwin Nights, on the album.
Yeah.
That I was thinking, probably can't play Darwin at the moment, or maybe you can, I don't know, but I'm sure you will be adding some dates at some point if you can.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll keep tagging them on, and you know, I think we're pretty busy for the first half of the year, but we'll just keep adding some dates on as we go. And yeah, there's so many places to get to. And you know, as I said earlier, I have a lot of people that send me messages on social media and say, "Oh, when can you come? When can you come to Tassie? When are you coming to Western Australia? When you know?" And it's, yeah, we just got to try and fit them all in.
Yeah. And talking of fitting things in, because you have an extensive back catalogue now, and the current album is Songs from Highway 1. I imagine you'll play quite a few of those live. But when it comes to picking other songs for your set list, do you just kind of chuck all the names into a hat and pull them out? Because there's so many to choose from.
It's well, I like to try and just throw in a variety of different songs. You know, I'm lucky enough to be around for a little while now, but and then I also like to do a bit of stuff on my own. And the beauty of that is, not only it gives the band a break, that stops them whinging about their boss, but it also, it's a good chance for people just to call out requests, you know. And I love to do that. And I always say to people, I don't want anyone to leave without hearing their favourite song. And it doesn't have to be one of mine. It can be a Johnny Cash song, or a Casey Chambers song, or a Slim Dusty song, or whatever. It doesn't matter. But that moment when you get rid of the band and I'm just there with a guitar means that it's totally, it can just go anywhere. And that's good. It's challenging. There's always a few train wrecks, but that's part of the fun of it. Whereas you know, with the show, we have a lot of vision on the screen behind me, and a lot of video clips and different footage and stuff. And when you're playing to click tracks in your ear, and the reason we do that for the people watching is so that when I'm looking at the audience, I can keep in time with what's happening behind me on the screen. So often you know, once we get the show and we plan the show and sort it all out, then it's sort of locked in. Whereas that moment where I can get rid of the band and it's just me and the guitar and the audience, we can just do whatever the hell we want. And that's really good fun too.
I can't even conceive of how many songs you must have stored in your brain to be able to take requests like that. Because it's enough with your own songs to be able to keep that current, because I would imagine if you haven't played a song for a while, it's normal that you might forget a lyric here or a chord there, but to remember those and to remember other people's songs as well. Are you someone who, from the time you started performing, you just stored up that bank of musical knowledge?
Yeah, it's really strange, isn't it? You know, that old saying that I can remember every song that ever was, but I go to the supermarket and can't remember what I went there for. You know, that old chestnut, you know. And so, but what I always found over the years was if I type out song lyrics on the keyboard, I find it hard to remember them. But if I write them out by hand, the old-fashioned pen and paper, once they're in there forever. And it's frightening, I guess, if you sat back and thought about how many songs that you know, and you know the chords to and how to play and every lyric to. It is amazing how much that your memory can store.
I also imagine you're quite willing to improvise if you cover if
Always.
it's someone else's song and you're like, oh, I can't remember. I'm sure you can come up with an alternative lyric.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah, we did a gig on New Year's Eve sailing around Sydney Harbour, and I hadn't done a gig for about 6 months, and yeah, there was a few song lyrics in there that I hadn't heard before. I just make them up as I go, and my wife actually said, I think you got those lyrics wrong. And I said, as if it matters, we're all here, we're all having fun. Just throw a few odd ones in and keep going. No matter what, just don't stop, no matter what.
Yeah, I think that's it, isn't it? Now, I did hear, speaking of maybe not making up things, but writing things down, actually, you are collecting some stories. You're writing a book, Tales from the Road. How heavily are you censoring this material? Because I would imagine some of these stories are quite interesting.
Yeah, there's plenty of stories that I can't tell. Otherwise, I'd be sued or divorced, or Becky Cole had kidnapped me and you'd never ever find me again. But no, they're actually just really happy and funny and inspiring stories that have happened not only to me on the road, but all of my other country music mates. So I'm putting a collection of all these stories together from all these different artists. I just figured people, if they can read that and have a good chuckle and a laugh, or get a bit of an insight into some of the crazy things that happen on the road, that's the idea behind the book. So it's nothing mean or nasty. But I must say, I've been pipped at the post in the Harvey household because my daughter, who was only 19, she's had her first book published.
Oh,
and she's an amazing writer. Hang on.
Please hold it up. Yes.
Hang on. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, I can. Words of a Wallflower.
Yes, by Layla Harvey. And she's had her first book published. So she's very exciting, and she's studying journalism at uni. But it's a really, I'm really proud of it, regardless of that. But I'm really proud of it. It's a really big achievement for a 19-year-old kid. So, and she's an amazing singer too, and loves her music, as does my son. Right. She's beat me to it, the little bugger. She got the first book published in the Harvey house.
It sounds like you might be able to get her into the Harvey family band, though, if she's a great singer. Now, the tour starts, I think, 3rd of February is the first date, or is it the 4th?
The 4th of February, yeah, that's right, at Goulburn at the Astor Hotel, and then we head off to Albion Park Rail. And then I think we're travelling around regional New South Wales for a little while, Glen Innes and Narrabri, and play different places. And then we head to Victoria and Queensland. But any of you, anyone out there viewing this or listening, you can always just go to adamharvey.com.au or check it out on Facebook. All the tour dates are there.
Love a website address. Thank you very much. That was very handily done. And it was lovely to talk to you. I know that your audiences will have a fantastic time when they see you live. So I hope you have a fantastic time as well. I know you'll have a lot of fun, you and Rachel together.
Yeah, good on you, Sophie. Thanks so much. And really appreciate you taking the time out and having a chat and giving the shows a plug. So thank you very, very much. And we'll see you at a show somewhere.
Indeed. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.